Right, I'm live. Hi, everybody. It's Friday and welcome. My name is Andisha Thompson. I am a professional family photographer and I specialize in children. And this is my live that I do every week to help families take better phone photos of their kids. So this week we're going to look at portrait mode, and there are three mistakes that portrait mode makes, and these are how to avoid them. So basically, portrait mode is a new technology that you find on newer phones. I'd say about probably a couple of years old now, and it is fantastic. I won't go into too much detail. You guys know what it's all about, but I'm going to talk about what to do to avoid mistakes with portrait mode that will ruin your picture when you do it on portrait mode. So, right, I am going to share my screen. I'm going to, let's share my entire screen. I'm going to show you some example, oops, there we go. I'm going to share some example pictures. So here we go. So this is a picture of my, it's kind of gone all funny now. It's a picture of my daughter. So it's a very, very nice. Can you see it very well? I think I'm not going to do it that way, actually. I'm going to try to see if I can share my screen slightly differently. Let's stop sharing. I'm going to share my screen application window. There we go. I think that's better. Yeah. So this picture here is of my daughter. Really, really lovely, sweet photo of her wearing a hat. We were just out one day and I just liked the hat and I thought I took it and it looks really nice. Now, the thing about portrait mode that makes it so nice is that it's so blurry in the background. That's why we like portrait mode. It really focuses on the individual. Now, I want to talk to you now about the mistakes. Okay, so this is when it goes right. It looks really nice. It's focused on our eyes. It's really nice. Now, the mistakes all have to do with the way your phone uses the technology behind it. So the mistake is, and you can see in this one, it's a really nice picture, but if you look carefully, her hand over here is all blurry. And that's because portrait mode doesn't like movement. And when you move, when anybody's moving when you take a picture, it's going to screw up. So what you want to do is you want to position yourself and take a picture of someone where there isn't movement involved. So if they're running, jumping, playing, whatever, you can take portrait mode, but you have to risk that something weird's going to happen in the picture. So I put this up as one of the photos I did for for quizzing people whether this was from my phone or my camera. And the people who looked carefully realized that her hand was all weird, and it must have been from my phone rather than my camera. So that's one thing to avoid is a lot of movement in pictures. I want to show you this one too. This is actually a really nice picture. They were moving, but not too much. They were quite still. Their faces were still. And one thing that you have to do with portrait mode is you have to know who you're going to be photographing, so that who's the focal point. Because if I pick this boy, he would be in focus, but I picked my daughter, and so she's in focus now. So the other mistake that people make, so that was the second one, is that it's not really a mistake, it's something that you should always do, is to pick who you're going to focus on and click on your screen to make sure that's the person you're focusing on. Otherwise, they'll end up out of focus like this boy. And the third thing is not being close enough. Now, sometimes I risk it and I take pictures when I'm close enough anyway, it doesn't matter. But the object I was really close to this flower. And actually, I think it turned out fine. But what you'll find is the algorithm has problems trying to deal with other things that are in the picture. So it'll go out a little bit fuzzy and it won't look as nice. So that's the second thing, is to make sure you're close up. You're not too close. And if you are close, just expect that there is going to be some background bits that are not working out very well. So those are actually the three mistakes. So it was really quick. Oh, I wanted to show you another thing, actually. So this is kind of like a fourth one. I think that when you use portrait mode, this is my daughter using it. Bless her. She was taking a selfie of herself. She then played around with it with the various settings. And in my view, when you're editing them and turning up and looking at the source of light, so it asks you if you want, studio light or various things like that, is to ignore them completely. Otherwise, you end up with pictures like this. That you really can't do anything with them, just look weird, floating heads. So my suggestion is to avoid doing all of that. So if you want a really nice picture like this, you have to make sure the person is still. You got to make sure you focus on the person, that you want is if you have more than 1 or 2 people there. And don't play around, and make sure you're far enough away. So that's number 3. You have to really do need to be the distance that the phone wants you to be, unless you're doing something like flowers and you don't care. They don't, you know, if it's a person and you've got an arm and a leg they look all weird and fuzzy because you're too close to them, it won't look nice. But for flowers, it doesn't matter. And that's, and don't play around the various settings, otherwise you'll end up with this. So that's about it, really. Stay the right distance. Make sure the person is still. Don't use the various odd features that your phone has. And that's about it, really. Make sure you focus on the right person. So those are the mistakes. Those are things to do to avoid your picture turning out really, really weird. And that's about it. That's about it. It was very quick. 5 minutes. Done. So portrait mode is fantastic. I absolutely love it. So try taking some portrait mode pictures this weekend. I want to challenge you guys. I want to challenge you to do ones where you're trying to make the mistake, just so that you can see what I'm talking about. So try to take pictures of movement. Try to do it really up close. Actually go out of your way to make a mistake and see how it turns out. And that'll help you avoid those mistakes in the future. All right, I hope everybody is well. The weather here is dry for now, which is good. All right, talk to you later. Bye.